This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, high-performance cloud hosting for everyone. Visit linode.com/MacVoices and take $20 off your first server package. Welcome to MacVoices Live on Facebook. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, tonight I'm happy to welcome to MacVoices Live Mr. Andrew Orr of the Mac Observer. Andrew, it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I don't think I've ever been live before, so this should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, live is live, but when we release it to the feeds, we can always edit anything out. So if you make just this terrible recommendation, we'll just fix it. So, and also joining us as the first of maybe more, we never know, with MacVoices Live, Mr. David Ginsburg. David, good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Good to see you too. It's coming up Mac Stock.
Yeah.
Glad to see you again.
Oh yeah, this is something. This is definitely always a lot of fun. And folks, if you're out there and you're in the chat rooms or seeing this on any of the pages that we send it to, the whole idea is that if you would like to join us in the Zoom room, just go over to the MacVoices page, look in the chat, and the link should be there, or it's in the MacVoices group as well. Just click and we'll have you come in and you can be part of the show and engage with Andrew and David and me, or you can just sit quietly and watch. We're pretty easygoing here. So Andrew, you kind of have become, I'm not quite sure how, but you've become the security guy at the Mac Observer, or at least for daily observations.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny because this was actually Kelly's idea. So,
oh God.
But yeah, like privacy and security have kind of been my beats over at the Mac Observer. And after probably, I don't know, maybe a year of doing that, Kelly had this idea. Well, maybe we can make this podcast segment where we try to, not only do we report on the security news of the week, but we also try to have a practical tip for people that, people can actually use and try to be helpful in that way. And we've been doing that for a while now, and I really love it. It's not strict, so if there have been times where I haven't written anything security that week, and that's okay. We just have a regular episode. But when we do have news, then I'm in there to talk about it.
That's one thing I love about it. So many security things, I think, run off the deep end and try to get too technical, and they never seem to get back to the practical thing. And we all love the geekery, but we also need to know some of the practical stuff, and that's what I love about the way you bring it back.
Yeah, I definitely try to explain it in a way that, like, I basically frame it as, here's why you should care about this. For example, I've written about a lot of data breaches in the past. Some seem to be more like they don't seem to affect a lot of people. And then some do. Like, for example, our last episode, we talked about this DNA database that had some weird things going on. And so that probably affects a lot of people. And so I say, so here's something that maybe you should be concerned about. But then other times it's maybe a bit more esoteric, enterprise only. And so we do talk about that. But mostly we want to concentrate on things that actually affect our readers.
Well, now I bring this up because I want to make sure I find the right name here. The other day, and I think it was Friday, since you sort of touch on security on Friday, you were talking about the Jumbo Privacy app. And I had never heard of this before. And Kelly said something that I thought was really interesting. It was one of those kind of toss-off comments that caught my ear, but it would have been real easy just to let it go by. And first of all, I'll let you explain what Jumbo Privacy is. And I know as I recall, you said that you've been using it now for quite some time. So what is Jumbo Privacy?
So yeah, I've been using this app for over a year at this point, I think. If there was ever a sort of all-in-one privacy app, this would be it. So Jumbo Privacy does a whole bunch of different stuff. What you do is you connect all these different accounts to it that they support. So you can connect your Facebook account, Facebook Messenger, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google. I think Amazon Alexa is on there. And it will basically scan those accounts' privacy settings. And if it detects that maybe one of your settings is something that wouldn't be good for your privacy, it will automatically do that for you. But it can also do a couple of different things. You can scan various email addresses on the dark web in case your email address has been found in a data breach. It can also scan, I think, credit card numbers, your social security number. Basically, at this point, the only thing it doesn't have, as I said, is a password manager. Although I know at one point that was on a roadmap. So maybe that'll come in the future.
Okay, so that all sounds good. And by the way, folks, I want to be real clear on this, that right now we're talking theoreticals, and I am not criticizing anybody's app in any way, shape, or form. But this is sort of the thinking process that I go through whenever I hear about something like this. It sounds great. It's like this place where I can connect everything, and it's my little security privacy dashboard. And Kelly said something about, and your data, and whoever's looking at it, can manage this for you. And my head exploded because I've never heard of this app before. It's asking me, if I'm understanding it right, to give it access to all these accounts that you just mentioned to manipulate things and everything. And it's like, holy cow, who are these people and why should I trust them? And so I went and did a little research on the company, and it looks like they're very reputable. They've been around. They've been written up in several of the business on the business websites. So it appears that they are 100% legitimate, which was kind of a relief for me, and probably should be for you too. Mm-hmm. But it struck me that this is something we should talk about. The idea that these kind of apps, you really are kind of at times giving them the keys to the kingdom. Of one kingdom or another, and you really need to know who to trust in doing some of those things.
Yeah, so I've definitely told my readers in articles, you should definitely, any app you install, if you care about privacy, you should maybe take a look at their privacy policy. And I've also shared a couple tools that will make these tools are machine learning based that will make it easier to find bits in a privacy policy. So using these tools, it's really easy to examine these policies, figure out what the app is doing. But at the same time, I guess you also have to have some level of trust. I don't know if privacy policies are actually legally enforced or not. So maybe an app could say something in their policy and they do something else in reality. But as far as I know from reading the Jumbo's privacy policy, it's legitimate to me. They say that they do all the privacy or all of the processing on your device, just like some of Apple's own processing. So personally, in my opinion, that kind of makes me trust them.
Right. And I mean, trust is kind of the key thing here. I'll use a company that we all know, and I'm not sure we all use, but 1Password. I mean, 1Password is about as reputable as a company there is out there on the Mac web. And, I feel pretty good about the fact that I trust my passwords to 1Password. I have them locked down with the classic complex 1Password, and so that's it. But I see these other password managers pop up, and people that are just getting into the password manager game, and I mean, if I remember correctly, I think Dropbox even has a password manager, and they're super reputable, but I'm not sure that they have the track record just yet to make me want to give them at least everything that we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I've noticed that a lot too. I see a lot of articles about all these password managers and VPNs. And I like to think I'm pretty knowledgeable about all these different companies. And I've seen a lot of different recommendations of these apps that I've never heard of before. It's very popular nowadays to say, use this one tool and everything will be covered. You'll be safe on the web. And so you kind of have to do, or at least I have to do research into all these companies. And then I turn around and say, so these are the companies that I'm comfortable with. And I tell that to my readers.
Andrew, when you're doing your research and you're telling your readers, do you ever, I mean, obviously you don't want to publish 3 pages of credibility data, but do you ever explain, kind of what your criteria are to say, all right, they passed my personal test?
I'm not sure if I've ever said that in an article before. Maybe I have, like probably in an editorial maybe. But on the podcast, various podcasts at the MacObserver, I have said that I did take a computer security degree in college, but I'm also completely honest, and I will say, well, I didn't end up graduating. I did get several certifications, including security, and I've just been kind of doing research on my own ever since. I've also said that in the past, before writing for the MacObserver, I was writing articles for a VPN company, writing about kind of the same similar stuff I'm doing now: data breaches, security, explaining VPNs and how to use them. But I always want to be honest with people and saying I'm definitely not an expert, but here's what I know, and you can kind of use your own judgment after that.
Right. Well, and first of all, that's good to know, because honestly, I only knew part of that of your background in that area. The fact that you're writing for the MacObserver right away gives you instant credibility, because the guys over there, they don't just let anybody pick up a keyboard, I guess, not a pen, but a keyboard. And so there is that. But I know I've done plenty of interviews remotely and at trade shows, and somebody says, they make it sound great, and I have to say to them, okay, look, you seem like a nice guy, but I don't know who you are. Why should I trust you? Where did you come from, and what is so credible about you? And most of the time, it's taken pretty good naturedly. Nobody's punched me on camera so far yet.
Mm-hmm.
And then the ones that are really legitimate, I mean, they seem to be very happy to explain, where they came from, what they're doing, what they're trying to do. The privacy policy thing, that's, I don't know how David feels, and we'll get David in this. But the one thing about privacy policies is, that's great. Okay, so I can sue them, lovely. But I've still been hacked. I've still been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like, to me, closing the barn door after the horse is out. David, how about you? I mean, am I off base with this?
No. I think security in itself, privacy. You need to know about things. I didn't even know about this app Jumbo. Just took a look at it now. I'm definitely going to explore it. But I was on another app. I'm not sure if Andrew's familiar with it, called Mine, M-I-N-E. It's samemineapp.com. And I signed up for this service because I was interested to see how it would track some of the places that I've a lot of my data. And I just looked at it, and I have 771 locations that companies are holding my data in a footprint. And this app, this is all web based. It's just, you just go to the website, you sign in. I've signed in with my Google account, and then you just go through and you immediately go to these companies and say, I don't want you to have my data anymore, and it automatically sends an email to that company's customer service or whoever, and then in most cases they responded back to me and said, okay, we'll remove the data from from our database. But I just wanted to bring that up as another option. But yeah, I agree. There's just so much complexity as far as security goes. Hard to really narrow down a lot of the stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Information security is just such a huge thing right now, and it's hard to really to narrow it down to what we do.
Linode.com/MacVoices is where you want to go if you need a virtual hosted cloud server. What makes Linode so great? That's what Linode specializes in. They feature native SSD storage, a 40 gigabit network, and industry-leading processors, so your server is FAST fast. Because you pay for only what you use with hourly billing across all plans and add-on services. No extra charges for data transfer, no hidden fees or nasty surprises at the end of the month. Because Linode has a new cloud manager with an improved user interface, so deploying your server or servers is easier than ever. Because Linode has data centers all over the world, from Toronto to Mumbai, so if location matters, Linode has it covered. Because they have a large documentation library to help you get started and help you make the most of your server. Because Linode has 24/7 live customer support, so if you get stuck or have issues, help is just a phone call away. Because Linode has a ton of add-ons, so that you can customize your server with exactly what you want and what you need. Backups, blocks, node balancers, load balancers, and more. So what do you need to do to take advantage? Visit linode.com/MacVoices to get $20 credit towards your first server. Again, linode.com/MacVoices gets you $20 off your first server. Check it out now and be up and running in minutes. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. Yeah, Andrew, I have to admit, I was looking at Jumbo earlier and I forgot to look. Is it a paid service or is it a free service? Because that always scares me.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that. So they do offer some services for free, and then there are two optional paid subscriptions that obviously give you more features. Now, what I was going to mention is that since I was an early adopter, I do get one of the subscription services for free, and then I can actually pay for the other one. But when I go to that payment page, I don't get a set price. I just get a slider, and they let me choose what I want to pay every month. But I'm not sure if they do that for everyone or just because, like I said, I have been using it for a while.
Is the pricing? I'm looking at on the App Store. It's breaking down for quite a few different pricing here, like Jumbo Pro and Jumbo Plus, anywhere from $99.99 to $5.99. So I guess there's some different plans with it.
Yeah. So Jumbo Plus is, I think, the cheaper option, and then Jumbo Pro is like, their final. You get everything. I mean, I have the app right now. I can fire it up real quick to see what prices I get.
Just curious because I just saw so many different pricing in-app purchase that interesting.
Right. And again, go ahead, Andrew. Sorry.
So in the app, they say there's this button that says, just pay what you think is fair. And they give you like kind of a predetermined range. So the most expensive option is $15 a month. And then the cheapest one is $3 a month.
Oh. Okay. And again, I absolutely do not want Jumbo or anyone else to think we're picking on Jumbo. We're using Jumbo as sort of an example of what's out there. It may sound a little strange, but I actually feel a little better about. I definitely feel better about them if they are charging, because as we all know, everybody's got to make money somehow. And if they were saying they were just doing this out of the goodness of their heart, I'm giving you a lot of information that could be very valuable, and I'm trusting you. And that's, I guess, I've had too many challenges and too many problems not to be just a little more cautious.
Yeah, and that's something we've definitely talked on Security Friday before. One of the we see it as most basic things that you can think about is when you're confronted with all these services, you kind of have to ask yourself, well, if this is free, they obviously have to make money somehow. The common mantra in security is, if the service, then you're most likely the product.
Right. Yeah. And that's true of some of the social media services we all use, maybe one we're using right now, that you have to ask that question. And listen, sometimes, at least from where I sit, I can live with being the product. I might not like it, but I can live with it because the value I'm getting back from being the product is sufficient or exceeds my discomfort. Gmail is a good example. I'm not delighted with using Gmail, but Gmail serves a purpose for me that no other mail service right now that I know of does. And so, I'm a happy Gmail user and figure Google already knows probably everything about me anyway. So what difference does it make?
I'm the same way. I've been using Gmail for years and years, and I feel okay with it. I just recently purchased a G Suite account, and just got to see. I got to see some of their tools, and I think if you have a paid service with them, you might feel a little more comfortable with security when it comes to that stuff, because they're giving you a lot of stuff as part of the package. I mean, I'm getting unlimited Google Drive. I'll get my own domain that's actually being hosted to their email services, so I can use my domain name and then have my email based on there. Because my host was just horrible when it came to email, so I said I like to check this out. And it's not terribly expensive. I mean, Gmail charges I think anywhere between $6 and $9 a month for it. So I feel a lot safer with that service versus the Gmail. I mean, I've had my Gmail account forever and ever. I mean, I put that's the email I use for everything. But you're right. You got to be a little concerned with Google and what they do, and they're in the business to get information. So.
Yeah, Andrew, what do you use for? If you don't mind us asking, what do you use for email? And do you have any special security things put in place there?
So for work, we do use Gmail. We have our own G Suite setup. For personal mail, I use a combination of iCloud and also a service called Proton Mail. And Proton Mail is definitely more privacy focused. They're based in, I can't remember the name right now, but a country that has a pretty good track record when it comes to privacy, when it comes to their laws, for example. They were designed by people at CERN, if you've ever heard of them in the science community. It's part of that same research lab, and it kind of grew into its own thing. And it's an end-to-end encrypted email service. They have a whole bunch of different additional options for security that you can, check the boxes and kind of customize it that way. But I really like them. I think Switzerland, that's the company.
Switzerland. I've heard good things about Proton Mail. Its encryption and all, and that as I understand it, it's one of those that once you get it set up, it's not difficult to maintain or to use.
Yeah, it's really easy. It is web-based mostly. So with Proton Mail, they also have a VPN. There is a free option and a paid option. And if you have a paid account, you can also download this tool on your Mac and have it integrate right into the Mail app. And of course, they have an app for iOS and iPadOS.
Okay. Yeah. What, David?
And they're based in Switzerland.
Yes. Yeah. And you brought up VPNs a couple times here, and I know that's another thing that just makes me crazy. As I'm surfing the day's news, I see all these offers, free VPN or VPN for life for $9.99, and it's like, no, there's no way they can make money off of me under any circumstances for $9.99 for life, and so there's something else going on.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm happily paying monthly for a couple VPN services, because I've had good luck with them. I trust them. They're fast, and they've been around for a while. The reputations in the community are good, and you know that with some of this stuff, the people out there that are security oriented and the hackers would be tearing these things up, and often they do. They expose issues with some of these free VPNs. So for heaven's sake, folks, please do a little bit of research. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are articles on the Mac Observer. There are some guides on the Wirecutter. their guides at Macworld, to some of the better VPNs, see what they have to say, and then pick somebody that's reputable and responsible.
Yeah, I was the same way. I did fall into the trap of paying I think it was $30 for lifetime, a VPN, and I started using it for a while, and it seemed okay. But then, they hadn't updated the app in quite a long time, and you go to the site. I mean, their tech support was responsive, but it weren't helpful. Things weren't working right. It just was you get that feeling that a service isn't going to be what you need. So I moved over to one of the more reputable services, and I'm not going back. It was a good move, and paying $100 a year or whatever it is for a VPN service to feel confident that you're going to get good security is really good.
That's an interesting statement, David, about the app being updated. I mean, the VPNs that I use, it seems like the apps are constantly being updated to the point that it's like, oh, do I have to go through another app and either a restart or drop my connection and start over. But that's really a good thing, because it means that they're in there, fixing issues or making sure they're keeping up. And that's extremely, extremely important when it comes to things like this.
I'll call it out, and I know it's been one of your sponsors in the past, ExpressVPN. I think they're probably one of the better services out there. Their app seems to update, pretty frequently. I would venture to say at least once a month, and they stay on top of things, and I think it works really well. And I don't think there's any reason not to stick with that type of service. But there's so many of them out there, and many that people use. It's not just that one that's out there.
Frank in the chat room is saying, since we can't gather, is a VPN necessary? Yes. Yes. And he also said, I guess in response to our Gmail discussion, that it's a fair exchange, the information for the usefulness, and that's that's the way you have to look at it. I think there has to be that balance.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say before. So if you want to use Google or Facebook or TikTok or Twitter, go ahead. But what we always want to say is that we think it's important to be aware. And so as long as you're making that trade-off between data collection and privacy and security, as long as you know what's going on, then go for it.
Yep. Yeah. Anytime we do app recommendations, I always recommend Waze as the app that I like for traffic and travel, or at least when any of us were traveling. As good as Apple Maps is, Waze lets people using it on the road in front of me, report that there's a deer on the road, that there are police, there's construction, there's something. And that's something there's no way that the Apple app can ever have. And I inevitably also, right after I recommend it, a couple of days, I'll get an email from somebody saying, nope, owned by Google, never going to use it. They're tracking me. They know I don't want them to know anything about me. And, it's like, okay, I get that. But that's another one of these examples of the trade-off being sufficient for me to want to use it. But also don't forget that your phone is tracking you anyway, because it's a cell phone. Mm-hmm. So, am I really giving up that much in return for what I'm getting? So that was rhetorical. Nobody has to answer that.
Definitely agreed.
Andrew Orr of the Mac Observer and David Ginsburg of In Touch with iOS will be back in the next edition of Mac Voices to continue our Mac Voices live discussion. We get into CES and the changes that are coming, since it is not going to be a physical event this year. We talk about some of our favorite Apple TV shows, and also about hardware and software, how long drivers should be maintained to support legacy hardware, and specifically look into the Fujitsu ScanSnap driver that was just recently updated, that took some old hardware from being obsolete to being usable again. That's all next time in Mac Voices Live. Look for you then. Until then, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, Consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.